And these blind spots apparently are seeing where fucking funding comes from. Also, by the way, something funny too. Pride in America is absolutely trash. It's like really weird and creepy, and the pride parades are full of like overtly sexual things and involve children, and there's like this aggressive nature to it. But in China, even like pride is like, even pride in China is like at least more normal, you know?
I unfortunately couldn't stitch that, but it definitely was a long video. I had to listen to all of it to really hear what you had to say. And the thing is that, and of course you don't care, but I'm a queer person, okay? I don't just have this pin because I support the current struggle by the LGBTQ community for a semblance of decency, but also because I myself am a person who does not conform or subscribe to traditional heteronormative ideals or values. I want to speak about the state of homosexuality in China from what I've learned about their history. Traditionally, back in the very old days, homosexuality was perfectly acceptable. In fact, there was a lot of royalty that were homosexual, and they even had poetry about it. The recent distaste or dislike for homosexual behavior is mostly rooted in effeminacy. And this is something that happened recently with the colonial infiltration of China. And currently, there is a number of people in the population of China that are concerned about the feminization of men. And this is just from a very particular section of the Chinese people. Mostly it's coming from the older generations. And the thing is that like homophobia over in China is not rooted in the same Christian values as like in the West. You know, in the West, homophobia is rooted in just being a sin against God. In China, it's more about looking weak to the outside world. And given the history of China, I understand why they want to appear strong to the rest of the world. Now, you mentioned the Chinese government. There are 9 parties in the Chinese government. So which particular faction are you talking about in the Chinese government who has a problem with this? Because I'm pretty sure not all the factions have a problem with this. Shanghai actually has the largest gay bar in the world, from what I've heard. I could be wrong. Please correct me, anybody, if I'm incorrect. But they have a big gay bar in Shanghai. They also have a district in China that basically is considered the gayest part in China, kind of the San Francisco of China. Now, homosexuality has existed forever in humanity. And the scrutiny and mistreatment changes with different eras. But to go, you, Buffalo specifically, I can tell that, I know that you have a very strong opinion against sexuality and homosexuality and queerness in general. And, you know, I'm not going to bother psychoanalyzing you because, one, you're just going to reject it anyway. And two, you don't want to be psychoanalyzed. You know, that's between you and Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I mean that metaphorically, not literally. But to say that homosexuality and gay pride is a conspiracy by Western NGOs is, I would say, hyperbolic. The Chinese people don't need foreign NGOs or Western imperialism to push this gay agenda, which is a very fashy dog whistle. The Chinese people don't need foreign entities to have gay pride. There is a very active gay scene in Asia. But I personally would not expect you to know that or care, because you basically get creeped out by anybody who's not heterosexual. You literally use your own words, creepy and weird. And those are, I'm sorry, but that's what homophobes say. That's what homophobes say, okay? And, your opinion about gay pride, look, I don't know what gay pride events you've been to. I don't know if you've been to the New York City gay pride, but I heard it gets pretty wild. But in my city, gay pride events can vary, Me and my wife went to a pride event in a neighborhood in our city, and I felt we were a little bit overdressed. But if we went downtown, yeah, there was people dressed in drag and beautiful dresses, and I would say not nudity, because there are laws against full frontal nudity, of course, depending on your city. But in our city, they don't allow full frontal nudity. So people compensate with pasties, and they can wear bikinis, thongs, things of that nature. But unfortunately, Buffalo, you can say all you want that you're not homophobic. And that's the thing. I never called either of you a homophobe. I said what you did was homophobic and transphobic. Okay? I never said you were a homophobe and a transphobe. Okay? I'm trying to give you guys the benefit of grace. Okay? But you guys want to keep defending yourself and obfuscating and redirecting, saying, oh, I'm not being homophobic, or maybe you're being homophobic. That makes you sound like a fucking child, okay? And that's basically Darvo, okay? You're starting to do shit that narcissists and abusers do, and that's not cool, man. And I really don't know where the hell you're getting this idea that the LGBT push for equality is bourgeois. Yes, it's been co-opted by the bourgeois to try to secure capitalism, but that is the only time when something that is a civil right is bourgeois, is when the bourgeois uses it to try to justify capitalism. I just recently heard a guy whose dad was part of the old school union days, and when they were when they were strike busting, they would bring in immigrants, and then when the immigrants started becoming with the solidarity of the unions, then they brought black people in. And then that's when the racism became worse, because the capitalists are trying to use racism to divide the working class. That is how integration, a progressive concept, can be utilized by the bourgeois to destroy socialism. And yes, we see the capitalism of, pink washing. They'll make, Pride ice cream, which is horrible, but these are part of consumerism, and that's a whole other different animal. Because, one thing you have to remember is that all your little, MAGA family and your MAGA background and your, possibly centrist liberal views you came from, they're all liberal, okay? So the thing is that homophobia is also a bourgeois ideology, because the bourgeois will use anything to divide the working class. They will do anything to keep us from organizing, whether they want to use pro-LGBT rhetoric to divide the class or anti-LGBT to divide the working class. It doesn't matter. But I am not trying to divide the working class by at least acknowledging that intersectionality is important. And I've never said in any of my videos that these intersectional issues are the priority, okay? No, I've always said that dismantling capitalism and abolishing capitalism and private property is the main goal, and the intersectional are things that can be done alongside it, okay? So you can play your little word games all you want, and you can have your little tantrums. It's not going to fly.